Hello everybody, Cosmic Zen here. I want to talk a little bit about music. Now I got tagged by my Facebook buddy Jessica, who you all may know as Seek the Visceral. And if you don't know, check out her channel. In this tag, you're supposed to name 3 songs you love by 3 bands you hate. Now before I get into all that, I want to talk about music. Music's been a big part of my life. I've been into it since I was very, very young. My mother brought me up on country music, which I can't stand now, but that's all I knew as a child. She had one Beatles 45, We Can Work It Out, and a couple Elvis albums that I used to listen to. I liked them a lot better than country even when I was little. And then when I was in about 2nd grade or so, I had a friend who was my best friend at the time, and he had 10 brothers and sisters, and he was the 2nd youngest of them all, and his brother had some Kiss 8 tracks. And he would bring them over and we'd listen to them on my stereo because I had an 8-track player at the time. It was the late 70s and I was still real young. But I got into Kiss. And my mother, kind of religious fanatic, I was raised a fundamentalist. You know, Kiss was Knights in Satan's Service. But that didn't really turn me off to this strange and wonderful rock and roll that really helped shape and define everything about my neural network. I started playing guitar when I was 8 years old, and so I kind of listened to this Kiss music for several years before I even knew the entire world of rock and roll existed. It wasn't until I was about 13 or 14 that I started to discover rock and roll. And from then on, bang, I just went like a whirlwind. Now, I started playing guitar when I was 8. I remember it was the song Malangueña by Roy Clark. He didn't write it, he just played it. I don't know who originally wrote it. It's an old Mexican song, but it's very great. Look it up. If you've never heard Malangueña, you need to hear it. And anybody who plays it a little bit differently because it follows certain themes. And there's certain things that are in Malangueña, but I've never heard the same version twice. So anyway, that's what got me interested in playing guitar, and I played pretty well until I was about 14 or 15. I got into rock and roll. I started to take it very seriously. I got into Van Halen, and you can imagine a teenager in the 80s with a guitar, loving music, and Van Halen, bang! And I was about it all. It wasn't just about the 80s. I got into the 70s, and I got into the 60s and the 50s. I just explored rock and roll to its maximum. I would just sit for hours and play and play and play and learn songs and solos and improvise. I'd listen to albums in my headset and just improvise until eventually I would learn entire albums and I could play entire albums. And you know, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and even the 90s had a lot of good rock and roll. But in the last 11 years, in the 2000s, there's been some good songs, but I can't say rock and roll as a whole captures the inspiration and the spirit that it did in the later part of the 20th century. And I remember there's this cliche about old people. You kids don't know what music is. Turn that crap off, kind of stuff. And I find myself thinking stuff like that now, and I wonder, is it because I'm old? Because I still like rock and roll, I still like music, and I'm into some of the stuff nowadays. But it seems like the entire emo movement has really put a damper on what's inspirational and beautiful about music. Doesn't seem to be virtuosos anymore. Now, when I was younger, I was a lot more into the music scene. I would get the magazines, the hit paraders, and the circuses, and I was up on everything. I've been to well over 1,000 concerts. And in the last 5 or 6 years, maybe I haven't been to as many concerts or anything like that. I definitely haven't been buying many CDs since music is available on, the internet. So maybe I'm just missing out on a lot of good bands. I mean, I know there's some good bands out there still, but as a whole, it just doesn't seem the same kind of thing it was in the past. And I feel bad for people being brought up who have missed out on that kind of thing. Because I'm not just talking about music from my era, which was the 80s, but the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. I can appreciate music from different time periods. I took musical appreciation in college, so I'm actually very knowledgeable about music since music began, from primal to baroque and classical and jazz and all that stuff. I just like rock and roll the best. So does music suck these days for the most part, or am I just getting old? Let me know down below. So anyway, here's the answer to the tag. Now, I couldn't follow the rules exactly. I'm supposed to name 3 songs I love by 3 bands I hate. Now, the thing is, when I hate a band, which is very rare, there are some bands I just hate, But when I really hate a band, I don't know what they play. I hate them for a reason. I don't listen to them. Maybe that makes me closed-minded, whatever. But people I think suck, I just think suck. But after long thought, several weeks, she's been waiting on this video, I've made a little list of songs that I like, okay, by bands that I don't really like. I can't say I really love many of these songs or that I really hate many of these people, but we'll talk about that now. The first one is Jackson Browne. Man, I just really hate Jackson Browne. I remember hearing that he beat up Daryl Hannah. I'm just like, what kind of stupid ass? I mean, it's bad enough a man hitting a woman, but man, he was lucky to be with her, and he hit her? What a dumbass. I hate violence, I hate the idea of beating women, and I just freaking hate Jackson Browne. But he has one song I kind of like, and it's called Got to Be Somebody's Baby. It was one of the main songs in a movie called Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which was one of my favorite movies growing up. I kind of emulated Spicoli when I was young. So anyway, Jackson Browne, Somebody's Baby. The next song is Cherry Pie by Warrant. Now, I can't say I really love the song, but I kind of like that song okay. But Warrant to me was kind of one of those, was the New Kids on the Block version of heavy metal. They were these young, pretty boys who didn't seem to have a lot of talent to me. They were just there for the female teeny bopper magazine, so I never really got into them. Maybe I'm judging them unfairly, I don't know. But Cherry Pie's okay. And even in the song Cherry Pie, the lyrics are kind of but it's a cool song. It's a very cool video. Check it out. The next one, and a lot of people's going to disagree with me about this, is Primus. I've never got into Primus so much. I've had a couple of their albums, and they just seem kind of monotonous and repetitive. I like the song Big Brown Beaver. I think that song's pretty hilarious. And they probably have a couple others I like okay. And I know the dude's a real talented dude. Whatever. Just not my thing. I saw them get booed off stage at Lollapalooza 3. They followed Alice in Chains. Big mistake. Alice in Chains had the whole place roaring. Primus came out. Sucked. The next one's Nirvana. I'm not a big Nirvana fan. Now, I like David Grohl, who's the drummer for Nirvana and is the lead singer for Foo Fighters. I love Foo Fighters. Love, love, love Foo Fighters. But Nirvana, never really liked them. I thought they sucked. But they do have a song I like a lot, Heart-Shaped Box. Heart-Shaped Box, very cool song. Check it out. The next one is Creed. Man, there was a time you just could not escape Creed. They were on every radio station. Do not like Creed. They got a couple songs I like though. One's called Withered and one's called Torn. Great freaking songs. But Creed, glad they broke up. The next one is Tupac. Not a big fan of Tupac. Now I like some of the 80s gangster rapper, NWO, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Ice-T, that kind of stuff. Liked it back in the day. Can still listen to some of it now. Really still like NWA. Tupac, never really got into. But he has one song I freaking love with Dr. Dre, California Love. I'm sure you all probably heard that. The next one is Jay-Z. Man, I just really hate Jay-Z. But he sings part in a Beyonce song, Crazy in Love, which I love Beyonce and I love that song. But Jay-Z for me just freaking ruins it. I hate Jay-Z. Hate Jay-Z. Now the last one's a real popular band from the past, Dire Straits. A lot of people like Dire Straits. Mark Knopfler, very accomplished guitarist. I'm not seeing it. Whatever. I like Money for Nothing. I know that's not one of his big guitar songs, but it was part of the early MTV thing, and I was there when MTV first came out, back when they played videos, way back in the day. And Money for Nothing's kind of cool. It's got Sting in it. Sting rocks. Love the Police. Now that's the end of my list, but there's still one other aspect I want to talk about, was a lot of one-hit wonders. There's a lot of one-hit wonders where I would like their songs, but the rest of their songs kind of suck. But that doesn't mean I really hate the band. Maybe I don't really know nothing about the band. You know, I don't hate for no reason. I usually have a reason why I hate somebody or something or whatever. And I just want to give, major props to all the one-hit wonders that had great songs. I'm not going to list them off. Just thought they needed a shout out to the one-hit wonders. And while we're on the subject of music, just to wrap up this video, all the little electric guitar bits you hear in my videos, that's me playing. I've played all the guitar on all the music that I've played. I covered Sympathy for the Devil and You've Got to Hide Your Love Away by the Stones and the Beatles. But other than that, all original, all me. See ya!